Hi, Tori and I are about to do one of our first speaking engagements as a couple, as a married couple, talking about relationship stuff. And I walked in there because this is the setup. I think they're going to introduce us soon.
Well, hello, you guys.
Hello.
Welcome back to our channel.
Welcome back. We have exciting news. If you clicked on the title, you already know the exciting news.
We booked our first speaking engagement together.
Right.
And so we thought we'd show you guys that we talked about 5 tips for healthy and thriving relationships. And we figured instead of just re-recording it for you guys, we'd actually give you a little behind the scenes and show you, the whole speaking engagement.
Yeah. And just as like a forewarning,
A preface.
This was an online speaking engagement.
Yeah.
So obviously there can't be tons of crowds of people.
Yeah.
And we also were limited to 15 minutes. And so
we are a little chatty.
So Tori and I were trying to pack in, 45 minutes of a YouTube video into a 15-minute live conversation.
So we were kind of nervous.
We were so nervous. We talked so fast, but we did it. We got one under our belt. And we hope to be able to do more things like this in the future.
So definitely like long-term goals for us is to do more speaking stuff together once we get comfortable.
With that said, be gentle watching this.
Yeah.
But we do think that there's some great nuggets in there as we talk about our 5 tips to healthy relationships.
Also, one more preface. We aren't going to be looking at you guys because we're looking at the screen that we are recording this to, the online audience. Mm-hmm. So y'all are getting like a behind the scenes little view situation.
Yeah. So we set up our camera and obviously we're not making eye contact, so sorry about it.
But we still talking to you too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do this.
So I just hit play.
Press play. I'm nervous. I don't like listening to myself talk.
And our next speakers are coming in from Florida, so it is getting sort of late right now for them too, and we're so excited to have them here. They are our featured power couple. This is one of our most exciting segments for our event. We get to hear from a couple, and they're actually going to talk about how to be a power couple that works together. How do you make that work? So they should be coming on the stage. Here we go. Here is Tori and Chad Masters.
Hello.
So happy to be here.
If you don't mind, I was actually filming this. It's kind of exciting.
Welcome to the vlog.
Yeah. Welcome back to our channel.
Okay, well, I was just going to turn it over to you guys. We're all ears. We want to hear everything you have to say. So everyone, over to Tori and Chad Masters.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, we know that we only have 15 minutes and we tend to be pretty chatty. So just a quick little intro. We do social media kind of full time now, which was, we kind of fell into it. We didn't even mean to start doing it, but our why behind it is always to encourage and uplift our audience. And it's
kind of evolved as well. Because of last year, it went from, just encouraging people to now like building communities, online communities, because people weren't able to meet with people in person. So we started to see the value of building good relationships. And I know you guys probably all know this stuff, but the leading sociologists are finding that we're experiencing more depression, anxiety, and loneliness than ever before. But we've never been more connected. I mean, we're talking to you all. We have our phones next to us. We're filming for our YouTube channel. Everything is
Super
going
meta.
on. I mean, we have TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We have everything. But why are we experiencing more loneliness than ever? It's because there's a lack of depth in relationships. And so Tori and I just wanted to talk just for a few minutes on 5 tips to have a healthy relationship, specifically more of a romantic relationship. But yeah.
And we also are a couple that we work together and we're married. And so
it can be a lot.
Yeah. So especially
I'm a lot.
He's a lot in the best way. But one of my favorite tips, and this is something that our pastor actually told us the day we got married was always to assume the best in each other. And I think that can be so difficult sometimes. I don't know if any of my other ladies out there, but like one thing happens or he doesn't respond quickly and your mind just goes into this little turmoil thing. And then as soon as they text back, it's a simple explanation. You're like, oh, why did I even allow myself to go down that pathway? And so assuming the best in each other, I feel like has saved us from so much stress, I would say.
Especially working together, because there's an extra layer of expectations that we put on each other, because like not only are we like, you know, romantically involved, we're also like, you know, coworkers. And so if we're not meeting deadlines together, that can really have impacts on, it can have a greater impact on things outside of work. It can impact, you know, tonight's actually date night. So
it is. This is our date, guys. Welcome to our date.
Welcome back to our date. Yeah.
But also we put on there same kind of, you know, tip, but it's, we're on the same team and we're both very competitive people individually. And so remembering that a win for him is a win for me and vice versa, I feel like has been really important for our relationship and working together and what we do, and remembering that we are on the same team. It's not a competition. Which
leads us to our second tip, which is to create a shared vision together with your partner. And because Tori and I, we're so blessed in the aspect that it just kind of happened naturally, but we have plenty of friends and other people that we've seen where it hasn't always been as easy to create a vision where you both want and are walking toward the same thing. Yeah. And so Tori and I fully believe in having those deep, honest conversations about like, hey, this is what I want out of my life. This is what I want my generosity to look like. This is how many kids I want. This is how I want to do with career, or this is what I want to do with my weekends. And the more open you're willing to be, and the more open that you are willing to hear your spouse's ideas, you can create that shared vision together. And then after you create the shared vision,
well, I also wanted to say, you want to dream really big, but then you also want actionable steps so that you can actually see that dream come to life. And this has kind of been my word for the year, but it's commitment. Yeah. And I actually last year felt like I kind of got wrapped up in almost this scarcity mindset of, well, I don't want to be disappointed, so maybe I'll just lower the bar a little bit. And then got really convicted by that. And I'm like, no, I want to believe it before I see it. And what is that going to take? Number one, it's going to take me to dream big. And then we need small, actionable steps that we can commit to so that we can see this, you know, come to fruition. And honestly, having each other as accountability to make sure that we're seeing each other's dreams like come to fruition and like propelling each other on, I feel like is honestly such a blessing that we can do that together, and that we do have that shared vision of, you know, what we want in the future. Yeah.
Want to go to the next step?
Yeah. Next step is continue pursuing each other, because we work together, it can be so easy for work to become 24/7 and all we talk about and all we want to keep doing. And honestly, guys, this week has been wild with work. And so we actually have date night on the calendars now, and we prioritize it. It's important to us. We shut our phones off. We don't work those nights. We don't talk about work those nights, and we just continue pursuing each other's hearts, because you never want to stop dating your spouse, because it should get better in time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and people are always changing. Tori and I read this marriage book, and one of the chapters in the book was, you never marry the right person. And I remember reading that, and I was just like, well, that's opinionated. You know, I was like, that's a lot to handle. And he was like, listen, people change. Who your spouse is right now, they will likely be different in 10 years. Yeah. She will be different, you know, if she gets pregnant. She'll be different when she's a mom. She'll be different when she's old, and that's okay. And so you're able to continue falling in love with more of the person, but you have to seek it. You have to pursue it. And we always say that relationships should take work, but they shouldn't feel like work. Yeah. And so you definitely have to put in the work.
Yeah. And speaking of work, communication and learning each other's communication styles can feel like work, but it's so effective. So our next tip is communicate effectively and know each other in terms of like how to respond. And that's something we learned the first year of marriage was like, oh, okay, when we kind of get in a tiff, I tend to shut down and he tends to be like, no, let's figure it out right now. And so learning how to fight well is very important because winning is not the goal. So communicating effectively is so important, and just learning each other's styles of communication so you can love each other better and you can move forward faster.
Yeah, it's definitely not about being right. It's about being loving to your spouse, because ultimately that's what you would want them to be to you. And so Tori and I are really big on some of those little like personality tests. We don't know if you guys have ever heard of the 5 love languages. We definitely encourage you to check that out. Some people really like the Enneagram. I haven't really dove too much into that because a lot of my friends have like psychoanalyzed me and already put me in my little box. But anyways, there are so many things that can help you describe your personality and the way you work. And so there's nothing wrong with learning more about yourself. That way you can help your spouse or whoever you're in a relationship with, or even if it's a working relationship, help them communicate more effectively with your style. And I'll just give a quick little story about that. When Tori and I first got married, we had never lived together before we were married. And it was like, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but there's definitely some moments where you're like, oh wow, like we just had a fight and now we're in the same room. Like we can't just leave. And so that was a new thing for us. And I remember I woke up and I was just having a bad day. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and Tori kind of got in my face and she was trying to shake me out of it a little bit. And I do not respond to that well. No. I process internally. I want to sit down on the edge of the bed and just think until I figured out a solution, and then I move forward with my life. Well, so that happened. And then later in the day, Tori was actually having a really hard day. And so the second I noticed she was off, I ran to the bathroom and I drew a bath, and then I like lit candles and got her a book, and I left it there, and I said, just go in there and have your time. But what she wanted me to do was get in her face and shake her out of that mindset. And so it's funny, I treated her the way I wanted to be treated, and she treated me the way she wanted to be treated, which is great because that's like the golden rule. But we have to understand that people are different. We're all unique. And so we all have different ways of wanting to be talked to or wanting to be listened to. And so those are some great little tips in terms of like learning more about your personality and how you can communicate effectively.
Yeah, and the next one is forgive fast, because reconciliation is always the goal. And I feel like that kind of goes right off of communication. I think a lot of times we can get caught up in the, well, I'm just going to be stubborn and have pride because I want to be right. But for a marriage, for a relationship to move forward, reconciliation is always the goal. And something we always say to our friends who are in relationships is try to outserve the person and your relationship is going to thrive. Because if you walk in every single day being like, how can I outserve my spouse, then you're going to go about the day very different. They're going to feel seen and loved and heard, and you're also going to be blessed because it's more blessed to give than receive. And so I think it's just a really good tip for a healthy, thriving relationship.
Yeah, and something Tori and I have noticed, and I think you all probably noticed as well, as a society, I feel like we're really moving in towards a period of just, it's really individual. It's very pursue your own brand, which by the way, we love. That's what we're doing right now. Hi, welcome to our brand, right? And so we're totally on board with that, but that can bleed over into so many things to where we can start to look at relationships as a way to use and abuse. And we don't think we're doing that because we think that we're better than that. But we can start to look at this person as, oh, they owe me something, or, oh, they should treat me a certain way, versus, oh, I should treat them a certain way. I should go try to help them today. And so it can quickly become one-sided. And so Tori and I are really big on just making sure that we're looking at each other and saying, oh, wow, I want to choose to love this person. And I'm not looking at them just for what they offer me, but for what I offer them as well.
Yeah.
And it's sorry to interrupt, but there's just a few quick things on assuming the best of each other. There's something I always say to Tori whenever we have a tiff or a fight or an argument or whatever it may be. People call them all different types of things. But I always say to her, I'm like, listen, babe, I gain nothing from upsetting you. Like literally, I profit nothing. Right now, the stock market's doing great. I'm profiting, okay? I profit nothing from upsetting you. And so I want you to know if I did upset you, it was unintentional. So I'm not saying let me off the hook, but I'm saying you don't need to hold on to that grudge as if I'm on a personal vendetta to upset you. And so her learning how to embrace that and say, oh wow, maybe he just slipped up in that area, or maybe he said something he didn't think was going to upset me, and so I can, better empathize with him. That's something that we try to do as well.
Yeah, grace on top of grace on top of grace is going to deepen your love for that person. And that's kind of what we were saying in terms of like try to outserve, because I feel like when you see married couples who have been married 50, 60, 70 years, and you're like, wow, that's the goal. But they've walked through some hard stuff, and they looked at their spouse and they said, I'm going to give you grace, and I'm going to forgive you, and I'm going to give you more grace, and I'm going to give you more grace. And even when I don't want to, I'm going to give you more grace. And with each level, your love deepens for that person. And I feel like it creates this strength for you to move forward. And so, yeah.
So I think those are 5 tips for a more healthy relationship. And again, just to recap, you're on the same team, create a shared vision, continue pursuing each other, communicate effectively, and forgive fast. So those are our things. I think we have just like 1 or 2 more minutes. So why don't we just plug ourselves right quick?
All right, we'll give you guys a little plug. You can find us on YouTube at Tori and Chad Masters, Instagram Tori Masters and Chad Masters. We have a podcast as well that's daily called the Messy Masterpiece Podcast, where we do daily devotionals. And so, I think that's all we do.
Yep. Yeah.
You're so cute. Like, you're adorable. And those were awesome tips. Okay, I'll send that to my husband.
Woo!
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That was awesome. We're definitely going to follow you and check out your podcast.
Aw, thank you guys. Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye. Oh my gosh, I love the couple segment. We actually are doing IGTV takeovers and story takeovers with couples on Modern Day Wife, and I love it because it's just like so inspiring seeing like how couples are, trying to like get on the same page or show more love or things that they can do to one another just to like keep the relationship going, because we definitely all know like relationships
are work for sure, but it's worth it, right? It's an investment, so it's always cool to learn like new tips or like new strategies on how you can build a stronger foundation for your relationship.
Absolutely. I know.
Anyways, y'all, that was our first speaking engagement as a couple. How did we do? Well, there it was, you guys. My biggest issue with this whole thing for me about to edit this will be to not edit our little mistakes, because it was live, and that's what it was.
And lit.
Live and lit.
So what did you think of it?
It actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Wait, it wasn't as bad, or it was better?
It was better. Like, when you just finish a speech, all you can think of is what you could have said or what you should have said, or, oh, I remember fumbling or stumbling, etc. And so I feel like when I got off, I was a little not sure how it went, but I'm actually really glad you videoed it, because, it was fun to watch.
You're welcome, Vivis. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I'm not saying that we hit a home run. What I'm saying is that for everything that's been going on, for us to get invited to something and not have as much time to prepare for it as we would have liked, because we had so much work the previous week, and it was live.
Oh, and did we mention we were doing this after 10 p.m. after we had driven all day long?
Yeah, so I feel like the cards were against us to do not the best job, and I feel like we
pulled through.
Yeah, we pulled through, and I'm actually like not mad at it at all. I thought I was going to be cringing a lot more. I just wish I didn't talk so fast, but I get nervous. I think the more I do that, the more comfortable I'll feel. But
how do y'all think we did?
Only tell us if you liked.
In the comments below.
You suck.
Okay, we love you guys. Thanks for watching. Hope this was encouraging, whether or not you're in a relationship. So, yeah.
All right, love you.
Love you.
Do.
We love you.